Please, don't leave me here alone. A broken bar, begged the CEO woman, and then the single dad stepped forward. A broken bar. The conference room had emptied in seconds. 20 executives who moments ago wore rehearsed smiles now scattered like autumn leaves, leaving Victoria Chen standing alone at the mahogany table, her hands trembling. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the 42nd floor, the city sprawled beneath her like a kingdom she was about to lose. Please, she whispered to the closing door, her voice cracking. Don't leave me here alone. But the door clicked shut anyway, sealing her inside with nothing but the weight of her failures and the board's unanimous vote of no confidence. If this story touched your heart already, please hit that like button, drop a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to Kindness Pulse for more inspiring stories that remind us what truly matters in life. Now, let's continue with Victoria's journey. Victoria had built Chen Technologies from a garage startup into a billion-dollar empire in 12 years. Magazine covers, TED Talks, awards, so she'd achieved everything she dreamed of. But she'd also missed her daughter's school plays, forgotten her father's birthday 3 years running, and turned every relationship into a casualty of her ambition. Now her trusted CFO had embezzled $40 million and vanished. The board wanted her resignation by Monday. The press would destroy her by Tuesday. She had 72 hours before everything turned to ash. Victoria didn't remember leaving the office. She drove through rain-slicked streets until her car sputtered and died in front of a small diner called Rosie's Place, its windows glowing warm against the November darkness. Inside, a waitress brought her coffee without asking. Victoria sat in a corner booth, still wearing her $3,000 suit, and finally let herself cry, the kind of crying that shakes your shoulders and steals your breath. Mom, are you alright? A gentle voice broke through her grief. Victoria looked up to find a man in his mid-30s wearing a mechanic's uniform with Marcus stitched above the pocket, holding the hand of a little girl with pigtails and curious eyes. The girl clutched a well-loved stuffed rabbit. I'm fine, Victoria said automatically, the reflex of someone who'd spent years pretending everything was under control. Marcus didn't move. That's what my wife used to say right up until the day cancer took her. She'd be in so much pain, but she'd smile and say I'm fine. He sat down, lifting his daughter Zoe onto his lap. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is admit we are not fine at all. Something in Victoria broke open. The story spilled out of the embezzlement, the board's betrayal, the crushing weight of failure, and beneath it all, the terrible realization that she'd spent 12 years building an empire while her daughter grew up with nannies and her father aged alone in assisted living, visited maybe twice a year. She told this stranger things she hadn't told anyone. Marcus listened quietly, occasionally wiping Zoe's face when she snuck bites of his ice cream. 3 years ago, when my wife died, I lost my center, my purpose, he said finally. I had this little girl depending on me, and I was so deep in grief I could barely function. I almost gave up. Almost let her live with my sister because I didn't think I could be what she needed. He kissed Zoe's head tenderly. You know what saved me? A manager at my auto shop. When I broke down one day, instead of judging me, he stepped forward and said, "You're not alone. Let me help you carry this." He taught me that strength isn't about never falling, it's about letting people catch you when you do. Victoria stared at him, tears streaming down her face. But I don't have anyone to catch me. I pushed everyone away. You have your daughter, Marcus said gently. You have your father. And maybe you have people who walked away not because they wanted to, but because you never let them close enough to stay. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a crumpled photo of his wife, smiling despite her illness. My Sarah told me something before she died. She said the legacy we leave isn't measured in achievements or bank accounts, so it's measured in the people whose lives we touched, who knew they mattered to us. Before you continue, if this story is inspiring you, please take a moment to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Kindness Pulse. Your support helps us share more stories of help and redemption. Now, let's see how Victoria's story ends. Victoria left the diner that night with Marcus's phone number and something she hadn't felt in years: a hope. Not the hollow optimism of a motivational poster, but real, fragile hope that maybe it wasn't too late to change. She didn't go home. Instead, she drove to her father's assisted living facility and woke him at midnight, apologizing through tears for all the missed visits, the broken promises, the years of putting success before family. Then she went to her ex-husband's house and held her 12-year-old daughter for the first time in months, really held her, and whispered, "I'm so sorry." Monday morning, Victoria walked into the board meeting and resigned, but on her own terms. She offered a plan to repay every investor, restructure the company under new leadership, and dedicate herself to helping other executives avoid the mistakes she'd made. Some board members scoffed, others watched skeptically, but a few, including the chairman who'd mentored her years ago, saw something in her eyes they'd never seen before: humility, purpose, and the quiet strength that comes from admitting you need help. 2 years later, Victoria ran a small consulting firm helping companies build ethical leadership cultures. She made a fraction of her former salary, but she coached her daughter's soccer team, had Sunday dinners with her father, and volunteered at Rosie's Place, where she'd met the mechanic who taught her that true success isn't about how high you climb, it's about who you become on the way up, and who's still standing beside you when you fall.